The entrance to your doom.
Acidic Roots Year 3 finale.
Welcome, YouTube, to the Year 3 finale of Acidic Roots. Since July of 2017, my third year of vlogging has been pretty sharp, and I've definitely had like a lot of, ups, ups, downs, whatever you want to say, throughout the standard year. And it has kind of allowed me to look back, because I definitely think this year was more of a bumpy road than year 2 was. I mean, year 2, for those who don't remember, that was the year that Frenchie came into the picture, Frenchie Talent, the Goblin. That was where I beat Super Mario Brothers. I had a lot more memes. I liked Adam Sandler, Mountain Dew, that sort of stuff. But obviously, when I went in, I definitely said, well, there were some things that I wanted to do, and I think I accomplished them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the months and then just sit there and talk about them and kind of offer, between July of 2017 and what will be June 30th of 2018, that would be the entire season 3 or third year of Acidic Roots. So starting off, we'll talk about July. So one of the first things that started that month was, of course, the fireworks. I came back with a prologue, which was a lot of fun to do. And then, of course, I wound up doing the fireworks video. So obviously, I missed doing a fireworks video in 2014. And, I watched fireworks in the summer of 2014. But ultimately, I didn't do it in 2015 just because I didn't think to. I mean, that was within days of year 1 starting. So originally, I had plans to do that, and but that I basically knew since somewhere in year 2 that I had to do some fireworks for July of 2017. So that was a lot of fun. We went out to Walmart. A lot of people were out there doing the same thing. It was kind of more of an American affair, more so than it was just personal people. I mean, then when I went and saw that, people were like saying, "Go Trump," and, "Make America great again." Maybe not directly referencing like everything he said, but there were some Trump fans there. So, but obviously the pride of an American is not too much of a detriment looking back. I mean, almost every president you'd think deserves respect, and that would include Trump. So, his banner year of being his first year of being president, that was just stretching out first month of year 3. And also something I did days after that was, of course, the Sega logo yell video, which all of those videos have gotten pretty successful. I definitely say, like, I am proud of the way Sega logo yell has gone. That is obviously, one of, just like Belch Montage 1 was about a year and a half ago. I mean, that has been a provided example. So just hearing, the Sega scream from Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was actually one of my favorite videos to do. So maybe not one of my all-time favorite, but at least one that had some color to it, which I'm glad that Sega's taking this opportunity to get some attention. And then, of course, I did the Paddlefish concert that month. So those are just a few of the highlights from July. I recommend watching July of 2017 along with all the months, but that's just something. So Paddlefish, if you watched a good handful of the videos I did back in year 1 of Acidic Roots, the 2015-2016 year, a lot of times I was going out, and that was a place that I was going. So my brother is in a band, Cobalt, as you've seen in a few of his appearances. Well, he's in a band, and that performed, and it's made it outside of the state of Missouri. I went to Oklahoma with them, which you saw earlier this year, but then there were also a few more things on top of that. So yeah, they're pretty big. I mean, they've done a lot of things. They have an album out, and you know, Paddlefish, they are kind of alternative rock in a gentler form, but and you know, it's pretty catchy. So that was what I was doing throughout year 1 and year 2, and I finally asked the venue along with some of the band members as to whether or not I could film a concert, and they agreed to it. So that was actually one of the first Cobalt appearances. I originally asked the band in October of 2016, but I didn't get around to recording it until May of 2017. So I knew I should have done it sooner, because really Cobalt didn't appear for much of any of year 2 of Acidic Roots. But you know, it was something. It was just working up the nerve, not having something go wrong and having to delete the video. So it's there, Paddlefish. But heading into August, this was kind of the thing. I mean, my family wanted to travel, so I went to Kansas City, and that was right around the time I got the NES. So obviously I had been itching for that. Once again, a reference to year 2. I was on a hunt for the NES Classic Edition, and I failed spectacularly at getting it. So that was just kind of the thing. I didn't manage to pick that up, and it was kind of a disappointment. But I just said, screw it, I'm just going to get the actual Nintendo Entertainment System. So I got that, and then days after that I went to Kansas City, filmed a bunch of videos, including, that was where the fart montage took place. Just car farts, that sort of stuff, just kind of did it. And then, of course, that was, August was also the month of the end of my leftover year 2 videos. So that was kind of something. I mean, the boxed in frame where you see the 2 black bars on the left and right sides of the video, I originally attempted to get rid of that, but it just kind of made me feel awkward. Like right now I'm holding my phone sideways, but I just don't really like doing that as much as I like holding it vertically. But you just can't do that. It has to be that way, or it's going to be in widescreen mode. So I really should have bought my selfie stick. That would have solved a lot of things. But yeah, so that was basically, August was the last of my year 2 videos, which it kind of felt good, because the day I stopped doing videos with my old phone, which was a piece of crap, was basically, you know, the last day of May. So I didn't do any videos on that phone. I got my new phone, which this is what it is, the first week of June. And so that was basically the end of year 2. So the last of my old phone's videos came out August of 2017. And of course, you know, I started Donkey Kong Country that month. So that was a quiet little game. You know, I do Let's Plays on the occasion. I got that through a suggestion, and I just beat the whole game of Donkey Kong Country, which really wasn't, I mean, that was a fun little jaunt. That was the thing about that. I mean, reflecting on Donkey Kong Country, everyone's done it at some point, considering the game is over 20 years old. But, you know, just to play through it and kind of say, wow, I can beat this game in like an hour and a half, when it used to take, you know, half a month or a month and a half to beat the game. It was just pretty awesome to sit there and do that. But that, of course, bled into September, and I wanted to get it done before October because of Beavis and Butthead. So I just kind of did it like that. And then of course I just kind of upped the ante with the comedy skits. I mean, that was one of the first times I actually filmed some of my, you know, horror friends along for the ride, like the Duck, Preston Mallard. You would have seen him with me being there. for the first time. And you know, we had intentions of doing that since they first showed up, but it just was kind of, it's just like any time when you want to incorporate your friends in vlogs, it's just a matter of finding the opportunity to do it. So did that. September of 2017 was just a continuation of like some comedy skits. That's a pretty popular month for me. Like my Sonic the Hedgehog video is doing well, and a couple other ones like the pizza box, even though that has 4 dislikes. I mean, really. So yeah, like one example of a skit was just me impersonating Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead, just trying to be funny. I know there's people who can do it way better, but it was just supposed to be for humor. I mean, you really don't need to criticize that sort of stuff. You look at someone who had 40 subscribers or 30 subscribers at that time. It's not supposed to be, you know, Oscar worthy. This is supposed to be for a couple smirks and giggles. So, but then of course my Booger Man poster, that was another one, which Booger Man didn't really make too many appearances past year 2, but he's always there in spirit, you know. I'm just a fan of Booger Man, that's the thing. He's a chipper fellow. But then, you know, here's a big thing that happened, was of course the Acids Awards. So that was something I had planned since my first year of vlogging, which would have been 2 years ago from that point. And I just finally decided to say, you know, I'm going to do a custom award show with some comedic stilts. Frenchie was kind enough to offer an appearance. And if I ever do a sequel to the Acids Awards, which I thought about doing in September of 2019, it just depends upon how things go. But we'll just see what happens. So it's the whole thing there. It was fun. And of course, you know, one of my favorite videos that I did in September was the Acidic Roots and Frenchie talent video. So that was the first time you saw myself and Frenchie together. He used my phone a few times to make his actual debut on my channel, but the horn-headed 6 foot tall demon actually did make a few appearances in year 3. And that was a lot of fun to do. I mean, Frenchie's a fun being. I don't care that he has 6 horns and is kind of spooky looking. He's ultimately a pretty swell guy. And I think a lot of people should get to know him. Fully represent trying to check out his channel. That was just a fun day, September. So October, now it's hot as fuck in here. I am sweating. It's a whole damn thing. Even being in a forest doesn't really help that much. But yeah, so October was Kansas City. I'm gonna try and wrap this up more. October was Kansas City, and that was, you know, even though I filmed it in August, it didn't come out until October. Had a bunch of little comedic videos to do, and I just kind of felt like, yeah, this was some fun. It was just fun to do it just because most of my videos took place in my hometown or in Branson. So I wanted to actually do some extra stuff, just seeing what I'm like when I go exploring and traveling. So I recommend rewinding back to October to catch a few of those. Pretty fun. Marilyn Manson is another thing that I brought up. I mean, I had been messing with Marilyn Manson for a while. I am a fan of him. He's a pretty swell dude. And you know, Manson had dropped a new album called Heaven Upside Down, and one of my websites that I visit, allmusic.com, basically gave that album a 4.5 out of 5. And obviously it felt like Manson was refurbished for that project. So that was of course the thing, Marilyn Manson being refurbished, and you know, on par with Antichrist Superstar and Hollywood and, you know, Portrait of an American Family. Those were just pretty distinct times to sit there and mess with it, but that's just the whole thing. Unfortunately, as the year progressed, he didn't really promote the project that much. He didn't promote the project that much, to my disappointment, but it was still pretty swell. So Manson was there in October, and that was actually my second most popular month. So that was kind of the thing. That was my second most popular month, was October. April of 2017 is my most popular, even though that's in year 2. And of course, another of my favorite videos that I did this past year were the duck hunt videos. So I brought Cobalt, my brother, and Frenchie along for the ride. We all played duck hunt, had some fun. Cobalt nailed all 10 ducks. I got like 6. We just had some fun with it. And yeah, I just, looking back on that, that was just a blast to sit there and do it, just because, we just all kind of came up with it. It was kind of like, the gang's all here type thing. So duck hunt is of course a game where you snipe the ducks, with the Nintendo Zapper from the 1980s. So obviously I don't know how many people were obviously messing with duck hunt prior to that. I mean, there might have been some emulation, but to actually own the NES and the Zapper, attempt to do some fun little skits with that, it was just kind of candid. So